What's up, fam? This is your girl Kim, and I'm back with another video. I'm back today because I was studying last night, right? And I was like, this is some useful information. My family can use some of this information. So whatever I run across, I'm gonna try to make it my business that whatever I run across in school that I feel like is helpful to everyone, I'm gonna upload it for my YouTube fam. So we're gonna make this kind of short and sweet because I gotta get back to studying today. But I was studying a numerous amount of things last night, and what kind of caught my eye that I want to share is I ran across anaphylaxis reaction, right? And we know that we can get an anaphylaxis reaction from a numerous amount of things. I mean, I could dye my hair and I could get an anaphylaxis reaction. I could go out and eat some shrimp, shellfish or something. I could get an anaphylaxis reaction if I'm allergic to it. I mean, iodine could give me a reaction. I could go get stung by a wasp or a bee. I could have a reaction. Some ants could bite me. I could have a reaction. I could inhale some type of chemical. Walk on the outside. Don't know a chemical out there. It could be something simply as killing the grass in your flower bed. I mean, that's if you're allergic to it and your body responds to it in that way. Because we have histamines in our body, and sometimes the histamines respond to the allergens, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is that we need to purchase antihistamine to keep in the home, like Benadryl, right? Okay, if you have big kids that can swallow, just get you a bottle of Benadryl. But if you have like a baby or a little toddler that can't swallow pills, then you need to keep some liquid Benadryl in the house. And it could possibly save your life, your child's life, a family member, anybody. Now, that's not the only thing that it will take when you're in a bad anaphylaxis. When you're in a severe anaphylaxis reaction, you're going to have to go to the emergency room. But we're just going to speak a little bit about the Benadryl, and I'm going to progress on over to the severe anaphylaxis reaction. But as I stated, a number of things can cause us to have a reaction. I mean, it could be snake away. It could be Clorox in the house. It could be food. It could be something we drink. It could be anything that could cause us to have a reaction if our bodies choose not to agree with it. So, I'm going to use my daughter as a quick example. Over the summer, she went with her auntie, her and her brother. And when she came back, this side of her eye and face was swollen. And the sclera of her eye, which is the white part of her eye, it was, so swollen, it was bulging almost. And her pupil, or the iris of the eye, you got the pupil, the little part, the iris of the eye, appeared to be sunken, like it was retracted in because there was so much swelling in the sclera. So I had worked all night and I jumped up. I'm like, what's wrong with your eye? And her auntie was like, I don't know, it just got like that or whatever. And I was like, Mike, what happened to your eye? And she was like, I don't know, Mama. I don't know what happened to my eye. So I jump up. The first thing I do is grab Benadryl because I keep Benadryl at the house. The first thing I do is grab Benadryl and I give her Benadryl. But because she do have allergies to like outside allergies, and I have those allergies too, especially during the time of the year, we can have those allergic, that we can come down with the runny nose, allergic rhinitis and all that stuff. Sometimes certain people have to take meds. But I gave her Benadryl, 25 milligram Benadryl. I gave her Zyrtec. I gave her single layer, and I gave her nasal spray. But it was so swollen, and it didn't seem like it was working at the time. My mother had been a long time nurse. So I was like, let me take her to my mama and let her look at it because I feel like she needs to go to the emergency room. Of course, she did not want to go to the emergency room because she hates shots, which she did an amazing job, I must say, when she went. My mom was like, yeah, she do probably need to go. So when I took her up there, the emergency room was like, you done gave her everything that we can give her. It's nothing that we can give her. And I was like, they was like, you done pretty much followed the whole protocol. And I was like, but I would really want her to have a steroid shot, like some Medrol or something to help go and dry this inflammation and stuff up. And they agreed. They went on and gave her the Medrol for me. But had I not gave her that Benadryl, and you don't have to follow the protocol of giving the Zyrtec, the single layer, because that's not the protocol, but it's an antihistamine, right? So I gave her that because she was already on that, which it did help. But as long as you got that Benadryl. But when you're stung by a wasp, and if you feel like the area is swelling and you feel like you're having some breathing difficulties, when you're getting short of breath from it, because you can have a severe anaphylaxis reaction from a wasp sting if you're allergic to it. It could, like I said, it could be anything. You need to go to your closest emergency room. Don't bypass the one that's 10 minutes away because you feel like it's not a good hospital, trying to get to the one that's 30 minutes away and your airway done closed up. So when you're into a bad reaction, you need to get to the closest emergency room department first. But before you go out that door, you need to at least take you 25 to 100 milligrams of Benadryl if you feel like your throat is closing. But Benadryl alone is not going to save your life. They're going to have to give you some epinephrine, and that's what's going to help you come around. That epinephrine, that Benadryl is the second line. So if you know that you have severe allergies like that, it is very important to wear like a medical alert necklace or a medical alert bracelet so people could know. Because what if you get stung in the store? You could be in the store. You could be walking in the park lot and something sting you. And nobody knows what's going on. You need to always keep that medical alert bracelet on, necklace on, or your bracelet on. And if you have severe allergic reactions, you should also have an EpiPen. I'm sure that your doctor will be to prescribe you an EpiPen, because you would need to use that EpiPen in any type of severe allergic reaction. And you can use it right through your pants and that thigh, and the outer part of that thigh. And boom, hold it for 10 seconds and let it go in, and then you pull it out. But you still need to get to the nearest emergency room if you feel like it's not working. And you need to always keep 2 of those EpiPens on hand, because sometimes you might need a second dose before you can get to the emergency room. But don't forget to take that Benadryl, that antihistamine. So I just felt like that could save somebody's life. I did a little looking online last night, guys, and I saw these girls who had dyed their hair. African American, Caucasian American ladies. I mean, and you should see their heads and how they responded to the allergen. I'm going to insert that picture. Somebody used some sunscreen, and you should see how she had a bad reaction to it. So that's what I'm telling you. You can have a bad reaction to anything if your body chooses not to agree with it. And if you know you have these allergies, you should let someone know. And you should also, if you have an EpiPen, you need to know how to use it, read the instructions, and you need to also let somebody in the house know how to use their EpiPen. Or if you're on your job, you need to let somebody on your job know how to use this EpiPen, because you might be so feeling like you're gonna die because of your airway closing up. You might not even be able to inject yourself, and you need to have somebody lined up on your job, 2 or 3 people. This is my EpiPen. I have severe reactions, and sometimes it can just flare up. And I want to say one more thing. Anybody taking a blood pressure medicine called lisinopril, it's an ACE inhibitor. Okay, that medication can cause you to have a severe anaphylaxis reaction. It's called angioedema. And you have the swelling of the eyes, swelling of the lips, swelling of the tongue, of the chin. I mean, you are just like super, super swollen. I got a picture in my book that I'm going to take, and I'm going to insert that. But it can happen when you have the first dose of lisinopril, and it can happen never. You might never have a reaction to it, but it can happen 4 or 5 months after, 6 years after. It just depends on if your body chooses to respond, negatively one day to that medication. If you are taking that medicine and you feel like you're short of breath, you're anxious, you just feeling like you're about to die, you're fatigued, you need to get to the nearest emergency room department. If you're not allergic to Benadryl, take you some Benadryl and get to the nearest emergency department. If you have that EpiPen, you need to inject yourself on your way to the emergency department, because you could possibly save your own life. So watch out for that, anybody who's taking lisinopril. And I think that's about all I want to say about it, because I really want to be short and sweet with this. And I don't know, I might see, can I find a few more photos online of people that have had allergies to, things. Just think when the spring comes out, you have the pollen budding on the trees, and it's floating all up in the air. When the trees is budding, and the pollen is floating all up in the air. And sometimes we get a allergic reaction from that. We might not have the anaphylaxis reaction where it's like super severe, but we have the reaction from that. And that's why it's very important, if you are one of those people like myself, like my children, we have to take our Zyrtec, our single air, our Flonase, our Claritin, our Allegra, you know, whatever the doctor orders for us, we need to take it because the histamines in our body is going to respond to it, and we're going to be all congested, coughing, sore throat, and etc. So just remember, family, to please keep that Benadryl in the home. You need to probably keep a bottle in a car, because after reading this, I'm like, I need to keep a bottle of Benadryl in my car. You know, even though I have it in the home, but what if somebody gets stung or something happens and we in the car and I don't have no Benadryl? You know, you always pray and say that prayer. God, get us to the emergency room. Help us. I don't want nothing to happen to me. I don't want nothing to happen to my kids, and etc. And they do make EpiPens, guys, for children. The EpiPen Junior. You have to be way like a certain range, but they do make that for children. So don't hesitate on getting to the emergency room, because our respiratory system is our airway. Breathing keeps us living. It's always airway, breathing, and circulation. We gotta have that patent airway where we can breathe. And if we don't have that airway, guess what? We could possibly die if we don't get to the emergency room in time. So I thought that that was very important. Like I said, you got food that you could be allergic to. You got drinks that you could be allergic to. Oh, and if you have any type of allergy, it's very important to let the provider know or the nurse know, because, and then that's, like I said, you need to wear that medical alert bracelet or necklace, because just say if you go and somebody have a car accident and they don't have that medical alert necklace on or that bracelet on saying that I'm allergic to, just say, a steroid. You have a bad accident. We're not claiming none of this, but I'm just speaking in general. And you have a cranial bleed. They feel like you have a cranial bleed, and the steroid could slow up the cranial bleed. And they inject you with the steroid, and you're allergic to the steroid. But because you don't have your necklace on or your bracelet on, and you can't respond, because sometimes we into bad accidents, we can't respond, right? Because we're out of it. Our body's in the shock. But it's very important to wear that so they can see we can't give this person this steroid because this person is allergic to this steroid. So that's very important. If you have an allergy and you're allergic to something, it's very important that you need to be wearing what you need so people can know. And I think that's about it. I've talked about everything that I needed to say. And like I said, it's not limited on what we can be allergic to. It could be something very small that could set it off. It could be something very big that could set it off. And you could be allergic to anything. But just keep that Benadryl in the home. It's just a little FYI. I hope that this information is helpful to you. Have a great day. I'm going to get back to studying because I need to ace this test.